Hey guys, it's Haps, and in today's video I've got another 5 of a kind for you. This time it's the Weasel, and I managed to get this in the golden pack. So let's just jump into the gameplay and I'll take you through this run. And we can see here we're starting off with Cone Snail, Opossum, Silk Moth. Now, this is a pretty standard start for me. I'll either play Opossum or I'll play Bulldog, depending on which one I find in the shop. But basically, you want to have a pet that's got a decent amount of health. So that's able to at least take one hit and for the Silk Moth ability to trigger. So you can see it triggering on the opposing Bulldog there, and then you can see it triggering on my Opossum. Unfortunately, we lose this round, but thankfully, due to the new life system, we do get our heart back. We level up and we level into the Weasel. We sell the Opossum, praying the stats go on the Weasel, but they don't. And then we buy the African Penguin. Now, the African Penguin and the Silk Moth have changed in the most recent update. And this is a game that has been played since that update came out. So you can see there, when we're buying the African Penguin, it now gives +1 attack to 3 pets on your team. The Silk Moth, however, has had its stat line and its ability changed. So it is now a 3-1 as opposed to a 2-2. And its ability now triggers twice as opposed to 3 times previously. We combine the Silk Moths here and we bring in a third Silk Moth, but I don't want to level up this turn either. I want to wait until turn 5 to give myself a chance of finding a tier 4 pet. So we roll down, desperately looking for Weasels, and we draw a blank. So our team is pretty much the same strength as it was before. And we come up against the Blackneck Stilt. Now this is another pet that has been nerfed. It used to give 3 trumpets on feint, but now it only gives 2. So where it needed to be a level 2 there to get 6 trumpets, previously it could have been a level 1 with chocolate cake. So we level up and we get the Dart Frog, which is completely useless to this team. We're all about the Weasels, and we do find a second Weasel. So we bring it in and we find a Baboon. Now, Baboon, again, another pet that has been changed. There's so many. The stat line of the Baboon has gone down to a 1-2, as you can see here. But we bring it in because it's going to give our Weasels some stats. The Weasels are the only tier 3 pets that are currently in the team, so I can guarantee some stats on them. The Baboon is also tier 3, but it's not going to give the stat to itself. Now, we have another Baboon in the shop here, so we bring that in, and I'm praying that the stats all get put onto the 2 Weasels at the front. I do think about bringing in this other Weasel, just to increase the chances, but we leave that frozen in the shop and we find another one, and then we find a Baboon. We freeze the whole shop here, and then we get the stats on the 2 Weasels as well, which is exactly what we were hoping for. Now the eggplant moves the beta fish here in front of the slug, and I actually think this helps us because I don't think we would have taken out the cone snail. I think it would have had too much health. But in the end, it really didn't matter because the team was too strong for us, and we go into this turn. Now, what do we get is a tier 5 emu. Emu completely useless for this run, but we do bring in a third Weasel here because we want to give it the opportunity to gain stats, and also the added gold when it faints is going to be pretty nice. And then we roll into a Banatee, so it's bye bye Baboon and straight in with a Banatee for some more stats on that front Weasel. And then we come up against a double Banatee team, and they've already got the banana. They're going full Banatee. And they are just too strong for us, and they wipe us out. Now, what do I mean by Banatee? Well, essentially, the Banatee's ability slowly kills itself, essentially. At the end of each turn, it will do 5 damage. But if you have a banana on it, when it eventually faints, it will spawn a monkey. And then we can use that for scaling. So that's the idea behind the Banatee strategy. Now, I realize we're 4 minutes into a video about Weasel, and I haven't actually said what the Weasel ability is. But you can see here all 3 Weasels faint, and that's absolutely perfect because the ability works on feint. For every time it faints in battle, it gains additional gold. So at level 1, when it faints, it will add 1 gold. At level 2, when it faints, it'll add 2 gold, and at level 3, it'll add 3 gold. So it actually works very similar to a swan in the fact that you get additional gold next turn. The swan, however, doesn't need to faint and is a tier 2, but the Weasel does have a better stat line. So I guess they are very similar in their own ways. So on this turn, we don't really do a huge amount. We do freeze the waffle, and there you go, you can see the Banatee takes its own life and we spawn a monkey, which is great. We've now got another form of scaling, a more permanent form of scaling for the team. Now at the time, I didn't realize how pivotal this fight was going to be, but the Weasel goes down to 1 HP and the African Penguin goes down to 1 HP. And those break points actually make the difference between this run being a success and being a failure. We bring in blue-ringed octopus. It's a great form of scaling, and we buy the waffle just to give us double the effect. And then we bring in the MVP, the Cockatoo. Honestly, the Cockatoo absolutely pops off in this run, and you'll see exactly why. But before we go into the Cockatoo, look how good that eggplant was. It moves the slug to the front, denies the dart frog of 2 triggers, and that is the difference. We actually win by 2 pets. Those 2 pets would have been destroyed by the dart frog. Now the Cockatoo. Why is the Cockatoo the MVP? Well, firstly, the Cockatoo's ability, on buy it will give 3 random pets with a feint ability 2-1. But at level 2, it will give 4-2 as you can see here. And because our whole team is made up of weasels, they have a feint ability and we're going to be able to scale them to the max. Now I buy a chocolate here because basically I'm racing towards trying to get this Cockatoo to level 3 because it's going to be my main source of scaling. I'm going to waffle Cockatoo my way to victory. That is the underlying saying for this run. Now this is an interesting team because we've come up against a nurse shark with chocolate cake at the back. Now the nurse shark needs trumpets in order for its ability to work, and the chocolate cake will make the nurse shark automatically faint. But the trumpets are stolen by the golden retriever, yet we still end up losing because we don't have a pet for the nurse shark to faint against. So that was disappointing, but also really interesting to see someone running that. Now I make a little bit of a mistake here. I put the pitter onto the weasel before buying the bird of paradise. However, we do find a Cockatoo, and then we find a second Cockatoo. So the shop has helped me out there for sure. And we come up against this Saiga Antelope team, assuming I have pronounced that correctly. Now these teams make me nervous because you can see the trumpets just stacking up with every feint, bit by bit. And I'm looking at my team and I'm thinking I need that retriever to be under 28 health for me to win. And thankfully it was. So we do double Cockatoo, and then there's a waffle in the shop as well. That's 16-8 worth of stats. That's a crazy amount of stats. And then we're looking at catfish as well. And I'm deciding whether I want to bring catfish in for bird of paradise. Can I get more value from the catfish behind the Cockatoo? And I do think I can. The one thing I do, however, miss is that ringed octopus. A little bit of blindness there, a little bit of tunnel vision as I'm thinking about the catfish. What I should have done is I should have brought the blue ringed octopus in, again, for more stats for the team, and then brought the catfish in. However, when you look at my team, they've all got 50 attack pretty much. So is the catfish a little bit wasted here? Because we're getting 6-3 with 6 attack. And I actually decide it is. So I sell the catfish and I bring in the final weasel because I'm thinking if I can find enough waffles, I might be able to make this 4th weasel actually viable in the team. Because at the moment it's 3-4. It is simply there to make up the numbers. Because we're going for the 5 weasel. It is simply there for that purpose. But if we can find a couple of waffles, then we can make this 4th weasel actually useful. Now, with a lot of these 5-of-a-kind runs in the Golden Pack, you often run Bird of Paradise or double Bird of Paradise. So you have 3 really strong units and then 2 really weak that you put in at the end. Now, we find a few more Cockatoos, and I actually think, is it better to sell the Cockatoo here and then buy these? But I decide I'm just going to keep rolling on and keep looking for waffles because waffle Cockatoo, as I said, is the underlying phrase for this game. At this point, we've got 7 trophies, and I'm feeling pretty confident about my team because we've got 3 weasels with 50 attack, and there's a couple of pitters there to try and keep our health in check. So we buy the waffle on the Cockatoo, and we do hit that 4th weasel, which is exactly what we're hoping for, and boom, we find the final weasel. I was getting a little bit nervous. Obviously, when you're running weasel, you get extra gold, but that doesn't guarantee that you're going to find it. But thankfully, we do find it on this turn, so we can complete the 5-of-a-kind next time around. And we face this team, again, we're pretty strong at this point. We've got a large amount of health and a good amount of attack. And that golden retriever is just not good enough to take us down. And we find a waffle in the shop, which was so lucky. And then a second waffle in the shop. So we get some additional stats. And then I roll down to 3 gold and I almost instantly sell the Cockatoo. But I say to myself, just think it through. You don't want to mess this up. We do eventually sell the Cockatoo, which is the right thing. We add the cherries and move them slightly forward just in case the 2-2 golden retriever is going to make the difference. We have a pitter at the back, again, in case we get sniped and we can get some extra health. But we come against this crazy ink team. But They are not strong enough, and we're able to get the 5 weasels over the line. Turn 17 and a 50-50 weasel at the front. A bit of a crazy run. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this one, and if you did, it would mean a lot if you liked and subscribed. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.